Good evening, thanks for joining me this Wednesday on 7Edition. I'm Azlina Najri and these are tonight's headlines. Toyota VIOS driver arrested over Penang Bridge crash. Federal Territories Ministry lodges report to MACC over Medan Imbi land encroachment. And Thailand to hold general election on March 24th. Now we begin tonight's bulletin with the Penang incident. The driver of the Toyota VIOS, who allegedly rammed into a Mazda CX-5 on the Penang Bridge that caused the SUV to plunge into the sea and killing its driver on Sunday, has been arrested by police. Seberang Perai Tengah Police Chief ACP Nik Ros Azhan Nik Abdul Hamid said the 21-year-old hairstylist surrendered himself at the District Police Headquarters at 2 a.m. today.
The man who sustained injuries in the incident was accompanied by family members when he presented himself to authorities. He was subsequently arrested and is now in the police lockup to assist investigations into the case for reckless driving. Police have so far recorded statements from 15 individuals in its probe. It has been revealed that both drivers were friends and that the VIOS driver was driving under the influence of drugs. Yesterday, rescuers successfully lifted the badly damaged SUV from the sea using a crane after a 3-day search and rescue operation and several failed attempts. The driver of the vehicle, Moy Yun Peng, aged 20, was still strapped to the driver's seat. Moy's cause of death has been classified as drowning in an individual involved in a road traffic collision. Meanwhile, the late Moy Yun Peng's family has appealed to all social media users to stop spreading the photos and videos of the incident. They also hoped that netizens would immediately delete the negative images of the 20-year-old victim as a sign of respect. Yun Peng's brother, who only wanted to be known as Dennis, said the loss was a huge slap to the family, but they accepted it as fate. The family will also leave it to the police to investigate the incident and urge the public not to make any speculations. Dennis also said the Chinese New Year celebration next month would not be celebrated by the family as they would still be in mourning. Yun Peng's funeral is expected to be held at the Berapit Chinese Cemetery tomorrow.
Elsewhere, a Standard 5 female pupil died while on her way to school after being involved in an accident in Kuala Lumpur this morning. The incident occurred at about 7 a.m. at Jalan Bangsa heading towards Jalan Telawi. Now, Atira Batrisha Azizi was on her way to Sekolah Kebangsaan Bukit Bandaraya and was riding pillion on a motorcycle with her brother when a taxi suddenly appeared at the Jalan Ma'ruf junction and knocked into the two-wheeler. The 11-year-old girl was immediately thrown off the motorcycle and onto the road, killing her on the spot. Her brother, Amzar Haziq Azizi, aged 18, only sustained a minor leg injury. The body was brought to KL Hospital for post-mortem. Now, in other news, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC has been urged to investigate an alleged land encroachment on 2 government land lots at Medan Imbi in Bukit Bintang, Kuala Lumpur. Now, according to an officer of Special Duties 2 to the Federal Territories Minister, Zul Hazmi Sharif, the lots were encroached by a private company that claimed to have received approval from certain people in the City Hall or DBKL via an agreement made in 2015. Now, this apparently was before construction began in 2017. Earlier, Zul Hazmi lodged a report with the graft buster at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya to look into the matter, which was said to have happened during the administration of the past government.
Sebelum ni DBKL yang uruskan. DBKL ada buat permohonan kepada PTG untuk mendapatkan hak milik tanah tetapi tidak mendapat kelulusan daripada Jawatan Kuasa Kerja Tanah. Jadi bila tak dapat kelulusan tu, saya rasa PTG rasa tanah tu kekal macam tu lah. Rupanya DBKL proses juga. PTG tak aware lah berkenaan dengan PTG tak aware lah, saya rasa setakat apa yang berlaku ni PTG kawasan lapang jadi dia tak aware lah.
He added a thorough investigation was needed to see if there were any elements of misconduct or abuse of power in allowing the construction of permanent structures at the site. He also said the documents that were handed over to the MACC contained the chronology of the case, reports by DBKL's Department of Integrity, as well as reports and eviction notices by the City Land and Mines Office. The two land plots, covering a total of 0.14 hectare and valued at nearly 20 million ringgit, was originally a playground with trees, but is now a site for a 6-story office building and fruit stalls. Instruction to approve construction of the building, believed to be owned by a local company, was made in 2016 and work on it was completed in February last year. Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan Tengku Mansor, or Kunan, today maintained his not guilty plea at the Kuala Lumpur High Court on a charge of accepting 2 million ringgit bribe from a businessman in 2016. The former Federal Territories Minister reiterated the plea after the charge was read out again when the case came up for mention for the first time before High Court Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan. The court has set 6 days to hear the 68-year-old Putrajaya MP's case between July 2nd and 11th. The judge also allowed an application by Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan's lawyer, Datuk Tan Hock Chuan, for the temporary release of his client's impounded passport to allow him to travel for business and visit his 2 children studying overseas. In allowing the application, the court allowed the return of Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan's passport until the next date of mention on February 28th, with 500,000 ringgit bail in one surety. Deputy Public Prosecutor Julia Ibrahim did not object to the application, and she also informed the court that the case would be heard jointly with another corruption case involving Putrajaya MP. Today's proceeding was carried out after Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan's case was transferred from the Sessions Court to the High Court on December 14th, 2018. Now, 3 individuals, including 2 company directors and a female insurance agent, have been remanded for 3 days over alleged corruption and for making false claims amounting to 1.8 million ringgit. The remand order against the 3 suspects was issued by Magistrate Iza Zulaika Ruhanuddin of the Putrajaya Magistrates Court this morning. The 3 suspects are in remand until Friday to assist investigation into the case under the MACC Act. The 44-year-old company director with the title Datuk was arrested at noon yesterday, followed by another company director aged 51 an hour later, whereas the 29-year-old female suspect was arrested at 2 p.m. the same day. They were arrested when they presented themselves at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya. Now, according to the graft buster, they were alleged to have received gratification from a supplier for purchase of a factory equipment and abused their position in the company, of which both directors have shares in. Meanwhile, a 3-day remand order was issued by the same court against a former senior product manager of a company. The suspect is in remand until Friday to assist investigation into a 2 million ringgit corruption case. The 40-year-old man had presented himself at the MACC headquarters to have his statement recorded and was arrested at 4:35 p.m. Initial investigation so far showed that the suspect had solicited bribes worth over 2 million ringgit from a company for the approval of credit notes for rebate and incentive purposes, as well as for the advertisement of computer components. The case is investigated under the MACC Act. Over in Negeri Sembilan, a police inspector and a burger seller were charged over a fight at Taman Rasa Jaya, Seremban. The 2 men claimed trial to the offence after the charge was read out to them at the Seremban Magistrates Court. The brawl, which took place on January 9th, was captured on video and has since gone viral on social media. Inspector Rashi Akbar Abdul Rashid, aged 37, from Bukit Aman, and Muhammad Firdaus Muhammad Anwar, aged 31, were accused of committing the offence in front of a shop lot in Taman Rasa Jaya. They were charged under the Penal Code, which carries a maximum 6 months jail or 1,000 ringgit fine, or both if convicted. Magistrate Mahyun Yusof later fixed February 15th for mention. Now, over at the Ipoh Sessions Court, an army corporal has been charged for sexually assaulting his daughter in December last year. The 30-year-old soldier, however, pleaded not guilty as soon as the charge was read out to him before Judge Datuk Juli Lak Abdullah. The man was accused of committing the offence on his then 4 years and 5 months old daughter at their house in Bandar Baru Putra. The charge under the Sexual Offences Against Children Act provides a maximum 20 years imprisonment and whipping upon conviction. Datuk Julie Lak decided not to grant the male bail and had set February 25th for case remention. Now, 4 men were detained for allegedly robbing victims whom they had befriended through the WeChat mobile application. The suspects, believed to be part of a robbery gang, were arrested at various locations in the city during an operation on January 16th. Kota Kinabalu Police Chief ACP Habibi Majinji said the suspects, aged between 21 and 27, were arrested after police received information on a robbery at a shopping centre which had occurred a day earlier. He added the modus operandi of the group was to pose as women on WeChat. They would then become friends with unsuspecting men on the mobile app before asking the victims out for a meeting before robbing them. Now, during the operation, authorities also recovered a sum of cash and items belonging to the victims. After the break, culprits who caused MRT delays nabbed. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's head over to our daily segment Clickbait for what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. So earlier today, Rapid KL announced that its MRT service was experiencing disruptions from its Pusat Bandar Damansara to its Filio Damansara stations. But authorities soon revealed that the delay was actually caused by a public pest who was trying to steal cables from one of the line's tracks. So in the early announcement, the company said that the power had been re-energized due to safety reasons and addressed that the issue was due to an intrusion. A few moments later, through its Twitter and Facebook accounts, Rapid KL exposed the suspected cable thief through a picture of him being apprehended by MRT Auxiliary Police. Luckily, the train service resumed quite quickly after, and the company apologized for the inconvenience. In the meantime, netizens who were affected by the delay were quick to lash out their frustrations on the net. Some were saying that they had to get down at specific stations and take shuttle buses to their respective destinations, while others said they were stuck at different stations waiting for services to run again. Now, Malaysia and Singapore are among many multicultural countries that allow its people with different races and religions to live in harmony. But to convert from the religion that you were born with to another is not something that is easily accepted by people around you, especially your family. Now, Singaporean Chinese Jing Han Nan has proved that stigma is not always the case, where she shared a touching post of her father's reaction to her conversion to Islam on her Facebook. Here's the details. Now, Jing Han mentioned how just last week her father asked for help regarding an online purchase. She then assisted him by doing the negotiating and later provided her father with the address of the seller to meet up. The seller, a Malay uncle, appeared confused as he was expecting a Malay buyer to show up. Jing Han detailed the conversation between the two on her Facebook post, including how the uncle questioned if her father was a Chinese Muslim and why she was wearing a headscarf. The uncle also blatantly asked why the man did not stop her daughter from converting, which Jing Han's father replied by saying that his daughter gains his full support. Jing Han concluded the post by saying how her father is a very simple yet profound man. She also stated how he is not the kind who would worry about societal norms or the opinions of their relatives as long as his daughter is happy. Now updated as of 7 p.m, here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. The Human Resources Ministry plans to increase the current threshold salary for hiring professional foreigners to protect local employees. Its Minister M. Kulasegaran said a committee will be formed to look into the matter so that expatriates could only apply for jobs with monthly salary of 5,000 ringgit and above.
The whole idea is to discourage expatriates who come here and compete with us. Yeah. They should be contributing to the national growth, and also their expertise is something that we don't have. Those are the factors to be looked into.
The current threshold salary for foreign professionals under Category 3 or semi-skilled is 3,000 ringgit a month. And the minister believed that jobs under Category 3 with monthly salary of between 3,000 and 5,000 ringgit can easily be filled by locals. He also stressed that the government had always placed the needs of Malaysians first, but also welcomed foreign investors and global expertise. Presently, the number of skilled foreign workers under Category 3 is just 5% out of the 71,000 approved permits issued for expatriates. Now, FGV Holdings Berhad has appointed Datuk Haris Fadzila Hassan as its Group Chief Executive Officer effective today, replacing Datuk Zakaria Arshad, who resigned in September last year. In a filing with Bursa Malaysia, FGV said Datuk Haris comes with 28 years of experience in the corporate sector, especially in strategy and change management. Most recently, he was Director Commercial and Land Management in Mass Rapid Transit Corporation Sdn Berhad, MRT Corp, and a key member of the team that successfully completed MRT Corp's Phase 1 under budget and ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, FGV has also appointed Datuk Muhammad Hairul Abdul Hamid as the group's Chief Financial Officer, CFO, effective January 2nd. In the meantime, Malaysia's timber and timber products exports dropped 4% to 22.3 billion ringgit in 2018 compared to 23.2 billion ringgit in the previous year. Malaysian Timber Industry Board, MTIB, said this was due to the sluggish economic performance, which also affected other main export commodities such as rubber and palm oil.
Seperti US-China trade war dan juga US-Iran sanction, ya, di mana ada kesan terhadap kita punya performance di negara Iran yang merupakan negara utama pengimport MDF, ya, telah terdapat kejatuhan di situ agak banyak, dan US-China trade war ni mungkin akan menyebabkan kita punya ekspor kayu getah bergergaji ke negara China.
She was met after the Maybank Investment Bank's Timber Day Into the Wood event in Kuala Lumpur today. For the first 11 months last year, timber exports totaled 20.45 billion ringgit, while imports for the same period stood at 4.83 billion ringgit.